Hi everyone, thanks for watching my video. My name is David, I'm a life coach and I try to help people heal from different kinds of trauma, specifically emotional trauma from narcissistic abuse. Today's video, the death sentence, life with a narcissist, because that's what it is. There is no life with a narcissist, only dying, literally dying, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So I want to go over some of these things, and a lot of this stuff, you guys watch, a lot of you probably watch most of you watching now have watched most of my videos. So you know a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about, but maybe not in this order. There might be new things for you. And watch, all of you who haven't, watch more of my videos and I dive way more into each one of these things here. So to start a relationship with a narcissist, there's a certain amount of idealization, and we victims come from emotionally neglectful homes. This makes idealization even more, because what a child doesn't get at home, doesn't receive at home, they tend to stray and try to find it somewhere else. And if they don't get enough attention and love and their emotional needs met, then they will try to find this from someone else, not realizing they're supposed to do this for themselves because the parents didn't teach them. So the idealization, which is something that everybody does to a degree, is so much more from a narcissist and the victim, because neither of them got what they needed at all. Not enough love, not enough attention, no emotional needs met. And so the idealization is, I'm getting unconditional love. Okay, so the expectations are crazy high. And when two meet like that, the hormones rise, the feel-good hormones. There's several chemicals that are affected by this, and this is what starts the dependency, the trauma bond, you guys call it. So when they meet, it's like they both each other appear to meet their idealized expectations, but we don't know who somebody is when we meet them. This feeling, and a narcissist is not their true self, right? So they're being whoever you want them to be, and they're being the best at this and the best at that, and they're trying so hard to be so good at everything so that you fall for them, so that you allow them into your life. That's where it starts. Financial abuse or exploitation is prominent in almost 100% of abusive relationships, and it always starts first. So a lot of you watching may not have experienced this, and I know that mostly women watch my videos and have been abused by mostly men, male narcissists. And this may not be something that happened to you. I would try to look at it a little further, a little more. It's not just stealing your money. There's so much involved that could be identified as financial exploitation. So whether it's you pay more, whether it's they get you involved in some financial obligation, a contract where they can, whether it's maybe living at your place or starting a business or purchasing a car or a house. I've heard it all, and it's literally almost 100% in abusive relationships. So something to think about, and it's also something to learn that we have to be equal here, always. And I don't care if a man makes more money, if the husband is the one that works and the wife doesn't. None of this matters, okay? We have to be equal. And I suggest all of you, men and women, to never, especially in the beginning of a relationship, to pay and pay and pay. No, I pay, then you pay. I pay, then you pay. Or we pay together, half and half. And I thought that was ridiculous. 20 years ago, you said something to me, I would argue that up and down. I'm sorry. I like to be the gentleman. I like to pay. It feels better, blah, blah, blah. No, it does not work like that. Trust me. You can look further and further into this and find out yourself that this does not work. And so and it helps us not go too much, too far, too fast. It's boundaries, right? So, I paid last time, and the expectation is now you pay this time, and maybe he or she says, well, I don't have the money. I can't afford it today. No problem. We'll go out when you can. Do you see that? Because all of us here need to start relationships slower. Great way to do that, isn't it? So the financial exploitation always starts first. Then relationships. So a narcissist is an abuser. They exploit people, abuse them, neglect them. And they have a victim that they want to completely circle around. They want to own. They believe that you're an object. They objectify you. And they treat you like that, like property. No one can take you away from me. No one can influence you. You're mine. No autonomy at all. So they will critique your friends, your family. Start finding reasons why they aren't allowed over here and I don't want you going over there. And another thing about narcissists is there's a certain degree of paranoia because they project who they want to be to you and completely reject their true self. And this causes a certain paranoia that they'll always be discovered, that someone will know. That and if a narcissist has a victim, they don't want to lose that victim and they don't want them to be influenced. So cut off relationships, and they'll find all kinds of different ways to do this. Whether they argue directly with your friends and your family, get into big fights with them, right? Or they're just so absurd, your friends won't allow them around you or around them, like, hey, I want to hang out with you, but not when your boyfriend's around, your girlfriend. And this begins a certain isolation, okay? And there are some narcissists that want their victims to do nothing. They'll get you to quit your job. They'll get you to leave your family, leave your home, come and move with me. I've known narcissists that live out in the country and they sit there and go fishing online and try to get women to come move out there with them without even seeing them first. Real creepy. That gets really creepy. And I mean, so much harder to ever leave, to ever stop that relationship. So emotional needs, once we're in a committed relationship, emotional needs must be met, period. The only way for any relationship that's loving, to grow, to be functional and healthy, has to have emotional needs met for both people. Now, typically the narcissist and the victim has never had their emotional needs met. They have not been taught how to do that by their parents. And a narcissist definitely doesn't give a crap about doing anything for you or giving anything for you, right? The narcissist exploits people like objects, so they're willing to put the battery in this thing to make it work. That's it. So I'm willing to say I love you, maybe pay for some things, make you feel good, then it's your turn. So emotional needs, emotional security, feeling like they won't leave you no matter what, won't even talk bad about you. Emotional attention, how do you feel, honey? You don't look good, I'm sorry. Did I hurt you? I'm sorry, I'll never hurt you that way again. Here's something to make you feel good, right? Emotional autonomy, we just spoke about that. Can't have it. And they get so paranoid, they don't want you to go anywhere. Sometimes they're so jealous, envious, afraid to, or jealous, afraid to lose you, envious that you might be attracted to somebody else, that somebody might tell you they're sick, okay? And then there's emotional privacy. They invade your privacy. And I bet you, a lot of you who have dated narcissists, especially lived with narcissists, may not even know to the degree of which they did that. I mean, these I've heard narcissists leave hidden cameras, search through all your stuff, crazy stuff. Besides totally getting involved in everything you're doing and asking, I want to know every little thing you're doing and what were you thinking and all this. So there's neglect. This neglect is actually abuse. Neglect is abuse. And this neglect is damaging. Very, very damaging. If you realize, and a lot of you don't, that physical needs are so important. You've got food and water and shelter and oxygen and sleep. But if you don't get these, you're sick. Period. I mean, how long can you go without sleep? You sleep 4 hours even one night. It's horrible next day. A lot of you guys like, oh no, I do that all the time. I know. It's still horrible. You don't get oxygen, you got seconds, right? You don't get food. How long can you go without food? About 3 weeks. Usually it's typical longest a woman can go without food. Water, 2 days. Shelter, not long, right? So realizing how important that is and understanding that if you don't have them, you're sick. You're literally dying now This is something a lot of you don't know or aren't aware of. Maybe you've heard me say it. Maybe you don't understand. Maybe you don't agree. But this isn't my opinion. Emotional needs are not only more important than physical needs, they're the most important thing in the world to human beings. Not everybody is aware of themselves and knows that. Okay, not everybody. People that aren't aware of their self or don't know who they are and stuff like this don't know their needs, and they aren't met. This causes damage, and it causes emotional damage. It causes damage to our brains, and it causes physical symptoms, just like not having our physical needs does, right? Anxiety and depression, and you start looking bad and weak and fatigue and can't, organs. And so the first signs of a child being abused or neglected would be headaches and stomach aches. 90% of my clients suffer from one or both. And none of them know or understand what it's from. I have clients that tell me, oh, my mom suffers from the same thing, so it's genetic. No. It's a cycle. It's a cycle that's going to be repeated and repeated and repeated. And if a child has stomach aches and headaches because they're being neglected or abused, and that continues, imagine how much more those can magnify. Migraines, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, ulcers. I remember when I was 7, 8 years old, I'd be up at 2 to 4 in the morning, just running around my room hunched over because I had such bad ulcers. I couldn't sleep at night. Blood in my urine and stuff. And those came back later. But these just only get worse. So if you're 40, 50, 60, and you haven't had your emotional needs met your whole life, which most of you watching this video have not, I just can't imagine if you don't have major problems. Self-immunity problems, all kinds. And I'm not saying all of you that have those, that's what it's from. I'm not a doctor, and I don't know you. But it's profound. It's profound. It's something to consider. In this relationship, here we are being neglected, being abused. We see red flags, things we don't like, and we begin to compromise ourselves. It feels bad. We're having symptoms. So I'm going to do this quick because I've done this so many times to let you guys. But here's myself. Here's my true authentic self inside. Not what I am, not my ego. My true authentic self is made up of 5 parts, maybe more. These are 5 major parts. And if we can't express these, we're losing ourselves. And in a relationship with a narcissist, they don't care about yourself. They don't care who you are. They care what you are and what you are to them. Whether it's you make me feel better, you give me money and sex and status, you raise my status because you're good looking and you have a good job, and you get my point, I hope. We begin to compromise ourselves, sacrifice ourselves, numb ourselves. It feels bad in the relationship, but it never gets better. They don't truly understand and they do it again. If you stay with a narcissist, you're compromising that. You're not going to get your emotional needs met. We just went over that. You're not going to get most of what you want. You might get a couple things what you physically want that they might give to you. It's kind of like putting that battery in the object again. I'll do the bare minimum. They don't value your opinion, don't care, don't want to hear it. Theirs is more important, right? And your values. You start to compromise your values. I know that most victims of narcissistic abuse are very virtuous people. We value things like respect and honesty, integrity, self-respect, acceptance, not judging people, loyalty, these kinds of things. We cannot express this. We cannot have this in our life if we want to have a narcissist in our life. It's one or the other. And there's no waiting and someday we'll get help and we're seeing accounts. No, we can't compromise ourselves. We lose a sense of who we are. Big time, it becomes unstable. The whole time, our hormones, those feel-good hormones, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, they rise and they fall. They rise and they fall. And this is what they do with any dependency. Sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling, work, food. And they rise and fall because I thought I was going to get what I needed and wanted. I thought he was amazing, and then I see the red flags. He's not, and he's gone. I don't know where he's coming back. I thought I was the only one, and he loved me, and then now he's talking about some other girl. Shows that he doesn't love me anymore. He breaks up with me and then it goes like this. He breaks up with me and then takes me back. Okay? And this is important to identify these things. Keep going, right? You could do this. I mean, you could see how many times your hormones rise and fall and rise and fall, and we become dependent on that. An addiction is number one in our lives. Number one. And we protect it. And we make him happy and her happy, the narcissist, because we protect this addiction, which means nothing else is as important. So when mom or dad or brother or sister or friend or teacher, these people telling us, what are you doing? What's going on? He or she's bad for you. I notice you have a toxic relationship. You don't look so good, blah, 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 blah. And we lie and we lie and we lie. And then eventually we get these people out of our life. And I don't need my mom and I don't need my dad. They're bothering. And I'm my brothers and my friends, all my friends. And now it's just you and the narcissist. With the hormones keep rising and falling, emotional neglect, physical abuse, financial abuse, totally lost ourselves, and dying, literally dying from physical symptoms. I'd love to hear some of the physical symptoms you guys have had from these relationships. I'm including your childhood too. If you have problems with your head and your gut, stomach, think about if you did when you were a child. This is very important. It's more learning, more awareness, more understanding. But as you can see, I think I listed a lot of the reasons why it really is a death sentence, how hard it is to leave unless we are discarded like garbage. And when that happens, every single hormone is so low and all the stress chemicals are high. We are so depressed. You don't understand anything. And there's nobody else around you because they got sick of your relationship. You shunned them. Maybe all your friends are toxic and not there for you anyway. Your family isn't the healthiest. Trust me. Maybe nice and loving and caring. But they're not healthy. Not if we have these relationships. So, very careful. Be very, very careful who you commit to. Be very, very careful how fast relationships go. Take your time. Get to know somebody. Learn what a healthy, loving relationship is as a model to go by. Or you might do this again. You might find yourself in this position again. And I'm sure it's never, anybody that's here watching this, I doubt it's just been one time. When we make the same mistakes and experience the same failures, we either never try again or we never try to leave. We stay. I know people who left toxic relationships quickly, cut them off completely. And then the next time went a little longer, it was a little harder. And the next time, they could tell me and look me in the eye and say, I know I'm being abused and I know I'm not getting anything I need. I'm not happy, but I'm staying. And they stayed today, still. Being abused, neglected, and dying. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Let me know, please. Thank you. And add more things that happens. Add your own experiences. I would love to see them and hear them and read them, and so would other people. It really helps them. Okay? Thanks, guys. Anybody wants coaching, daviddemars.com. Please subscribe to my channel. Like, dislike, tell me why. Share it. Thank you, people. Love yourself first. Bye-bye.